Welcome to ECED 110, Developmentally Appropriate Practices. Let's start off by looking at the history of developmentally appropriate practices, also known as DAP. In 1986, DAP began as position statements for the National Association for the Education of Young Children, also known as NAEYC. At that time, programs were trying to get accredited, and they needed clear and concrete help to figure out what was appropriate in the classroom so that they could prepare for validation. There was a growing trend to use formal academic instruction with young children that emphasized rote learning and whole group instructions around academic skills, that is, drills, memorizations, worksheets were being used. And they were being used rather than looking at all areas of development and learning in the context of meaningful experiences that matched the needs of the children. At this time, when this first position statement was done in 1997, it was revised again and to reflect the following points. That is the teacher's role in supporting child's development, the idea of classroom of children as communities of learners, the role of culture and family in affecting development, how principles of development apply to children with disabilities and other special needs, the importance of a culturally relevant curriculum, the need to use authentic and meaningful assessment practices, and a need to create the support network so all children can experience DAP. So what is developmentally appropriate practice? According to NAEYC, it's meeting young children where they are, by stage of development, both as individuals and as part of a group, and helping each child meet challenging and achievable goals. It is a set of guidelines to help educators make decisions about curriculum and teaching strategies. So there are three pieces that are the DAP core, and that is knowing about child development and learning, knowing what is individually appropriate, and knowing what is culturally and socially important. And when teachers do know these pieces, they can implement intentionality. So knowing about child development and learning, that refers to research-based information about age-related characteristics. So those typical development in that children along those age groups. This knowledge helps educators to make general predictions about what experiences that are best likely to promote children's learning and development. And it also provides you a framework to prepare learning environments and plan appropriate experiences to optimally meet the development of each child. Another piece of DAP core is knowing what is individually appropriate, knowing the strengths, interests, and needs of each individual child means that learning about the specific children in your class, then this has implications for you as you adapt and you're responsive to each child's individual pattern of growth and learning, and also the personality and learning style of each child. Both the curriculum and your interaction, as well as other interactions with adults and other children, will be responsive to the individual's interests, styles, and abilities. And the third piece of the DAP core is knowing what is culturally important, and that includes social and cultural contexts in which children live. This refers to the values, expectations, and behavioral and linguistic conventions that shape each child's life at home and in the community. Knowing this, it means that you can plan for learning experiences that are meaningful, that are relevant, and also respectful to the children and their families. When you have these core pieces of DAP, you will be responding with intentionality, and that means that you as an educator in the classroom will be continuously adjusting, changing, and planning experiences that promotes the child's learning and development. Intentional teachers are thoughtful and is the hallmark of developmentally appropriate practices. Teachers begin by thinking about what children that generally can do at that age, and then look at the individual, look at activities, routines, interactions, and curriculum. Meeting learners where they are, that is part of the definition of DAP. Meeting learners where they are is looking at where each child is. It's not you making the environment and having each child come to a same space. It's actually looking at what each child can do, where they are developmentally, where they are socially, emotionally, and in the cultural context. And it's considering what is typical of that age group. And if you try to teach it at one size fits all, it's not going to work. Let's step out of the way and actually start making it developmentally appropriate. That's looking at the physical, social, emotional, and cognitive development of each child. And then another key component of what is developmentally appropriate practices is helping children reach challenging and achievable goals. So that means that for learners, that they will have materials and experiences of what they know. And then what you will provide is other materials and learning experiences, that are other things in the environments that will help stretch them, that will build upon what they know and can already do, and will challenge them to stretch beyond what they know and they can do. And so challenge is part of helping children grow. But we also have to remember the challenge has to be within their reach, and that's for achievable goals. Because if we make challenges too hard where developmentally they're not able to reach them, then it becomes frustrating. If we don't have challenges in our classrooms, then our children don't grow. And you may notice if you've seen any types of this kind of environment where the children are not challenged, they get bored, and sometimes we start seeing behaviors coming out. So these pieces of what we know with DAP, your part is being an intentional teacher. Teachers and educators are effective when they're intentional and thoughtful. And that means it's a process of observing children, understanding child development, ages and stages of each child, and considering the family, community, culture, language, and social group. There is going to be a different community from a child that lives on the Big Island versus a different community from a child that lives on Oahu or in a rural area. And there's a different type of linguistics in each of our families, including those who are living in the urban, rural, those who have languages, English as a second language. We need to consider all these pieces. And when we plan learning experiences, when we plan our environments, that we take these into consideration when we plan a curriculum, activities, environment to meet children where they are. So we as teachers will be prepared. An intentional teacher has clearly defined learning goals for children, selects learning strategies enabling children to reach those goals. You need to understand child development. You need to understand each child, the community, in the context of the community. And from there, you will be observing children, assessing the progress of children, and where possible, if you need to modify, adjust, do that's necessary. This is part of a developmentally appropriate environment.